everybody. So this is very exciting. Today is my second entry in my top 50 animated films of all time ranking. And we are doing 40 through 31 in this episode. And this was a really hard ranking to put together. So if you don't see your favorites, I probably still like the movie. I just couldn't make my top 50. There were a lot of really tough cuts that I had to make, and this is just my favorites. This is not saying it's the best or that you should like it as much as me. It's just me and my list, and so I hope you enjoyed the first set, and I'll have a link if you didn't get to see my 50 through 41. You definitely want to check that out, and let's talk about 40 through 31. At number 40, I have Tokyo Godfathers. This is directed by Satoshi Kon. It tells the story of three homeless people in Tokyo that are out on Christmas Eve, and they find a baby that has been left in the trash, and their sort of journey to try to locate the baby's parents. And it is so cute. This movie, I love the characters, is my favorite part about it. I just love each one of them. I think is so sweet and heartfelt and funny and delightful. And of course, it helps this is a Christmas movie, so I'm going to like that. Also really love the animation. I love how expressive the faces are of the characters. You really feel like you get to know them. And at times it almost feels like live action, even though it's 2D animation, because they're so expressive, which is really, really fun. So if you haven't gotten to check this one out, I highly recommend it. It's really good. At number 39, I have Persepolis, and this is a film by Vincent Pernaud and Marjane Satrapi, and it's telling Marjane's actual story based on her graphic novel, and she's known as Margie in this story. She's a teenager who grows up in 1970s Iran, who gets to see the Iranian Revolution play out before her eyes, and she's sort of a cynical teenager, and she kind of looks everything through those cynical teenager lens. You also see her love of music and her relationship with her parents and the traditions that originally she rebels from, but then she starts to see in new ways, different ways. Animation is absolutely beautiful. I love the black and the blue and the white and how it's used to tell the story. Very original, very unique. And so yeah, it comes in at number 39. At number 38, I have ParaNorman. And this is one of my favorites from Laika. This is not my top ranked from Laika. There's more to come, but I do really love ParaNorman. I think it is such a good Halloween movie. I think it actually gets pretty scary with the zombies, and it's probably not for little kids, but then it also has this huge heart to it, with Norman having to use his experience of being bullied to help to try to stop the girl from doing what she's doing because she's so bitter about the way she was treated, and now she's become the bully when she was the one who was bullied. And that transformation is really moving, and I think something that a lot of us would be able to relate to if you've been bullied or you've experienced anything like that. It's very moving, and the animation, stop motion, is so good. It's also really funny. It doesn't forget to stop and have a sense of humor and to make you laugh, which I think is really good. And I just feel for Norman. I feel his character, and I think that's really well done. So yeah, that's my number 38. My number 37 is Akira, and this one is bonkers, crazy. It's not going to be for everybody, but it's so intense and so visceral when you're watching it. You just get swept up in what is happening, and it's surprising. It's unique. I mean, you don't expect to have a giant teddy bear in this punk rock anime movie, but there it is. And the way that it uses sound is so immersive. If you ever get to see this in a live theater, I really recommend it. You just feel like you're there. It's so compelling. It's about this biker gang in this post-apocalyptic world called Neo Tokyo, and there's this sort of government investigation is like experimenting on people, and it gets into their brains and into their dreams. And there are some of the bicycle gang who are trying to stop this from happening, and it gets kind of crazy. So that's basically the plot, but I don't know, I love how immersive it is. I love how great the animation is, how great the sound design is, how incredibly it uses music. I think is very well done. It's just an incredible experience, even more than the pure story. I think it's one of the best sci-fi films and dystopians I think ever done. At number 36, my new introduction to me, I just reviewed this film we just recorded our review for Obscure Animation of this movie. It's called Mary and Max, and you'll see that episode coming up soon. But Mary and Max is by Adam Elliott, and it is a stop motion animated film about a little girl in Australia who starts a correspondence with kind of a grumpy old man with Asperger's in New York City. And they're back and forth, back and forth. It definitely has a darker sense of humor, but I thought it had such humanity, especially the ending is so good about we all have our warts. And it's just beautiful. And it's a beautiful story about friendship. And I love stories about friendship. And I loved the animation and the sense of humor. It was so wonderful. So that's my newest addition to this list. So at number 35, I have A Silent Voice. This is an anime film that I absolutely loved from 2016, and it is by Naoko Yamada, and she does an incredible job of telling the story about this deaf girl who gets bullied, and then the bully years later starts to realize that what he did was wrong, and he starts to try to make up for what he did, and that relationship and also the beautiful music and beautiful animation. I mean, there's a point in this movie I am bawling every time that I watch it. It is a long movie, but I'm just so touched by the story and the beautiful animation and beautiful music that I don't mind it being so long. So it had to be at number 35. Number 34, I have A Town Called Panic, and this is totally different than A Silent Voice, that's for sure. This is a crazy, surrealist kind of animated comedy, absurdist, probably more than surrealist, and it is by Stephen Auber and Vincent Patar, and it is a stop-motion animated film about how do you explain it? A horse that talks. It's about a cowboy. It's about an Indian. It's about all the little toys that kids used to play with. And they have the most ridiculous journeys that you've ever seen. I laughed and laughed and laughed. I thought it was so funny. And that'll be the big key on this one is if you think the segments are funny. I do. It's my kind of humor. It's kind of dry and sarcastic. So the horse is supposed to go and I think play piano, have a piano lesson with his girlfriend. And he promises he will be there. And she's very skeptical that he will come. And all these crazy things happen. And he ends up going on this journey to the center of the earth. And throughout the whole journey, he every time he passes a phone, he'll pick up the phone and it's his girlfriend being like, "When are you coming to listen?" And that's really funny to me. There's just a lot of funny jokes. And so I love this. I think it's great. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. All right. Number 33, I have Mulan. So this is actually my first Disney movie so far on this list. I love Mulan. I love Mulan's character. I love how unselfish she is and how brave she is. And I love that she goes and helps her father, and you have this interesting sort of gender dynamic going on, and the music is really fun and the animation is beautiful, especially things like the cutting hair segment is so well done, and the avalanche is so well done. And I love her and Chang, I think, are really great. He's super good looking. So that doesn't hurt. Yeah, I think it's great. Mishu's really funny. It's number 33. Number 32, I have In This Corner of the World. This is an anime film by Tsunobu Katabuchi. And I actually got a chance to interview him in 2016. And that was really cool over at Rotoscopers. And this, some people might think it's boring. I think it's beautiful. About a girl who ends up in an arranged marriage right before the end of World War II in Japan, and her experiences with the atomic bomb and this relationship and her family. And it is very moving. It's very slice of life. So some people might think it's slow, but I really loved it. Even little things like the way that they would make the rice so that it could be used day in, day out. And they could get so much out of one thing of rice by puffing it up so it lasted longer. So that's stuff like that I just thought was very interesting and very beautiful and very well done. So yeah, it ends up at number 32 on my list. And number 31 is my first Pixar film on this list. And this is a little different than my previous Pixar rankings because I think I had Wally on this point at this list, but I decided as far as favorites and which one I just like enjoy putting on when I am looking for a movie, I decided to go with Finding Nemo actually for this part of this list. And so that's number 31, Finding Nemo. I love Finding Nemo. I think it is so touching, so sweet, and it is so funny. I still laugh with Darla and the dentist. I think is really funny. And I think they managed to make all the stuff happening in the aquarium as compelling as everything happening with Marlin and Dory in the ocean. And I am a sucker for the ocean. It is my favorite place. So it's just absolutely beautiful, the animation here. And I love the story of the father coming to understand his son and being able to let go a little bit of his grief. And I love Ellen DeGeneres as Dory. So there we go. That is this week's list. I have Tokyo Godfathers at 40, Persepolis at 39, ParaNorman at 38, Akira at 37, Mary and Max at 36, A Silent Voice at 35, A Town Called Panic at 34, Mulan at 33, In This Corner of the World at 32, and Finding Nemo at 31. So let me know what you think of my list and what you think of these movies if you've got a chance to see them. If you haven't seen them, I'd love to know what you think and if you're intrigued to watch them. And I look forward to making my next entry in the list, and my 30 to 21 will be coming up next week. So make sure to check that out. And like I said, I'll put a link to the previous video in the description to make sure you check that out. And also, please like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate that. Also have our Patreon group, which is a lot of fun, and we're having our Q&A with actress Mary Lou Henner. For all patrons, only $2 a month to join. So that's a pretty cool opportunity. And then also we have our merch store, which has hashtag Animation Junkie shirts, which you definitely want to check out. And I would really appreciate it. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.